Mr. Chief Justice.
Oh, the senator from Washington.
Mr. Chief Justice, I send a question to the desk.
Mr. Chief Justice,
Oh,
I send a question.
the senator from Nevada.
I send a question to the desk.
On behalf of myself and Senator Ernst, I send a question to the desk.
Mr. Chief Justice,
Senator from Kentucky.
I have a question to present to the desk.
The presiding officer declines to read the question as submitted.
Now, the only reason you make that argument is because you know your client is guilty and dead to rights. That is an argument made of desperation. We had a president who said, well, when the president does it, that means it is not illegal. That, of course, was Richard Nixon. Have we learned nothing?
Can you explain who has paid for Rudy Giuliani's legal fees, international travel, and other expenses in his capacity as President Trump's attorney and representative?
Well, I don't know who's directly paying the freight for it, but I can tell you the whole country is paying the freight for it. Because there are leaders around the world who are watching this, and they're saying the American presidency is open for business.
You don't know who was open for business? When the Vice President of the United States, who was charged by the then President of the United States with developing policies to avoid and assist in removing corruption from Ukraine, and his son was on the board of a company that was under investigation for Ukraine, and you're concerned about what Rudy Giuliani, the president's lawyer, was doing?
Will the president assure the American public that private citizens will not be directed to conduct American foreign policy or national security policy unless they have been specifically and formally designated by the President and the State Department to do so?
There would not be anything improper for a president in some circumstances to rely on a personal confidant to be able to convey messages or receive messages back and forth from a foreign government that would relate to the president's conduct of foreign affairs. That's not prohibited.
What the President's counsel said was that no foreign policy was being conducted by a private party here. That is, Rudy Giuliani was not conducting U.S. foreign policy. That is a remarkable admission. So what were they? They were, in the words of Dr. Hill, a domestic political errand not to be confused with policy. They have just undermined their entire argument.
The House Intelligence Committee hired one of those individuals, Sean Misko. The report further describes relationships between Misko, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, and an individual alleged as the whistleblower.
And as I said when this issue came up earlier, I'm appalled at some of the smearing of the professional people that work for the Intelligence Committee. Nor will I share any information that I believe could or could not lead to the identification of the whistleblower. I want to be very clear about something. Members of this body used to care about the protection of whistleblower identities.
Mr. Schiff put the whistleblower issue front and center with his own words during the course of their investigation. It's not a relevant inquiry to know who on the staff that conducted the primary investigation here was in communication with that whistleblower.
Well, I will make an offer to opposing counsel who have said that this will stretch on indefinitely if you decide to have a single witness. Let's cabin the depositions to 1 week.
But I just think the irony of this before we go to dinner, that we could call anyone we want except the witnesses we want.
Why should this body not call Ambassador Bolton?
The House could have pursued Ambassador Bolton. The House considered whether or not they would try to have him come testify and subpoena him. They chose not to subpoena him. It's simply alleged now that the manuscript says that. Ambassador Bolton hasn't come out to verify that, to my knowledge. It is correct that even if that happened, even if he gave that testimony, the articles of impeachment still wouldn't rise to an impeachable offense.
We know why they don't want John Bolton to testify. It's not because we don't really know what happened here. They just don't want the American people to hear it in all of its ugly graphic detail.